Hello and thanks for joining the last edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, federal government to adopt new strategy in tackling banditry, terrorism, enforcement of presidential order on Apapa, gridlock suffers setback as trucks litter roads. And later on the show, Liverpool, Tottenham lock horns as Africans take center stage in UEFA Champions League final. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Martins Oloja. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Thanks for joining us. It's a new dawn of the new administration in Nigeria. As such, citizens will hope for some sort of new wine in new wineskin, especially in the fight against insecurity. As it is, there's no change in the apparatus yet, but new strategy are being adopted. The Office of the National Security Advisor and the Armed Forces met on Thursday to adopt a draft national security strategy to tackle banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping in the country. The National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Monguno, said the document will serve as a framework to address insecurity in the country. Babajide, what's this new strategy being adopted, and when are they going to start implementing it, and when is the administration going to release or change? A lot of people would say change the security architecture of the country.
Well, they have not told us when the new policies that the new security policy that they are drafting will kick in. But everyone knows that there's a need to rejig not just the security architecture, but the strategy, because the strategy is not working. It's evident that the strategy is not working. Boko Haram is still running riot. Boko Haram is still killing our soldiers. They even have the effrontery to parade soldiers before our eyes and then execute them. The sort of notoriety that we never knew them with, you know. So, and stealing weapons, every opportunity that they have to attack an army base, they will go away with weapons. You can see some of the pictures that Boko Haram released the other day. You see naval boats that were evidently stolen from Baga, where we have the headquarters of the Navy. And the Navy, the naval headquarters of the Operation Lafia Dole is located in Baga, which is where you also have the Multinational Joint Task Force. But they were in control of that town for some time. And during that period, they looted weapons, killed soldiers, some of who were in detention, and then took away naval boats. Because you know that it took a long while. They were in control of the naval base, remained there. So during that time, they were able to steal naval boats, and they are even parading those naval boats on the Lake Chad. So you see pictures of weapons that they stole at Kimba from the army, and boats that they stole at the headquarters, at the naval headquarters of Operation Lafia Dole. So serious. It means then that strategies have to change. We can't continue to fight the enemy in a way that is clearly not going to put an end to the enemy, and then expect that we'll get results. No, we won't get the right result. What I've always asked for is that, look, if the strategy is not working, rejig it, do some retooling. Let's have fresh ideas so that we can achieve our aim. Our goal as journalists, as Nigerians, is in tune with the goal of the army. It's a shared commitment that we have, that the enemy must be defeated. But our own responsibility is to tell the army the truth. That, look, this is what is happening. The armed forces don't enjoy being told the truth. But we just have to tell them the truth. Whether they take your life the next day, it doesn't matter. We just have to tell them the truth. The strategy is not working. And even if we come up with the right tactics, you can only succeed if the strategies are complemented with the right equipment and sufficient equipment. For now, we suffer serious equipment deficiency. It's impacting negatively on not just the police, but the army, even in this war against bandits. Some of the weapons that you see bandits parade, we do not have those weapons. Because they are able, because thanks to our porous borders, they can buy weapons from the black market in Chad, from Chadian rebels and from other people. Some of them grade A weapons. That when you eventually succeed, you will see clearly that you do not have, that the weapon that you have seized from the enemy, you do not have in your inventory. So this is the thing. You must have the right measure of equipment to align with a new strategy, a strategy that can deliver victory. I for example, will expect to see more armored brigades in the Northeast, because armored brigades will not work in the Southwest, for example. The mangrove forests limit tank maneuvers because you can't even, they will sink. You know, with a tank like the T-72 Russian tank, when it's fully loaded with about 800 liters of diesel, it will be around 85 tons. You want to drive 85 tons on the kind of soil texture that we have in this part of Nigeria, of course the tank will sink. But in the savannah, Yobe, Borno, and the rest of the open ground, they will be able to maneuver and they will move freely and deliver decisive blow on the enemy. So let's have more armor brigades in the Northeast and equip them with sufficient main battle tanks and even smaller tanks. And we will see the result that will come from that.
Martin, your intervention now, when you want to look at, during the inauguration, we spoke with people and Nigerians, and their expectations was all about doing something about security. Security. And insecurity would have taken a negative toll on our economy, especially the economy of the Northeast and even the
It's not only the Northeast now. It's not, you know, we used to talk here about terrorism. Now, banditry, kidnapping have been part of the mix. And it's now a national tragedy. Shortly before I came in here, I spoke with a senior colleague. I just don't want to mention his name. He was supposed to accompany a friend to Akure for a burial. He asked his friend who was coming to pick him up to go to Akure, what kind of vehicle were you going to use? He told him they was going to use his Peugeot Land Cruiser. He said, no, I'm not going with you. Because you know they were supposed to pass through Ibadan if Akure road, Ilesha road to Akure, and you know there is a flashpoint there along that axis. This is in Southwest. So it is no longer about Northeast problem. It's now a national problem. And that is why so many suggestions we have suggested so many things here, so many strategies. They have not been working. Now there is there's a new tenure of 4 years. And we have been suggesting here that these service chiefs and some of these security chiefs should be changed. A new faces, new strategy. Now, this is the time they should put this on priority list. New strategy will require new men on the job to buy new equipment and to seek new ways. They should not be discussing with us what people want to see as a result. Because now it's unfortunate when we should be discussing development strategy for critical infrastructure and other things like that. We are discussing national security crisis in the country, and it's not good for us. For 4 years, insecurity moved from terrorism to banditry to kidnapping and other things. And we're talking about even cyber crime. So many other things like that. Gridlock here and there. We should be discussing how to fix critical infrastructure, energy crisis, and so many other things. But a large chunk of our resources now going into solving national security issue. We are not at war, but there is no peace. There is no partition here, but there is no reconciliation. And you know, these are issues. People, intellectuals in the country should be talking about economic development, should be talking about new ways of diversification of the economy, how to look beyond oil, how to develop agriculture, how to develop this, how robust funding of education, research,
that will only come if you have
research
peace.
and development. But all these things can only be discussed when we have peace.
Jude, I'm looking at the level of, you know, Nigeria is a developing country, as they call us. Now, the setback that this insecurity, Boko Haram, might have caused to the northeastern part of Nigeria.
Oh, you need to go to the northeast and see things. The damage to infrastructure is huge. There are communities that have not had light for up to 3 years. Because,
3 years? Because
Boko Haram, yes, especially places like Askira, you know, because Boko Haram will simply go and destroy substations. They will destroy PACN substations. Even as recently as a few weeks back, there was a PACN substation that they went to destroy. They do this just because to make life difficult for people, and when they want to attack so that you are in total darkness. That is their strategy, and then they will be able to inflict more pain and deaths on the communities. So, and schools, you will see schools without a single roof. They've destroyed so many schools. The day I went to the federal government college at Buniyadi, where more than 40 boys were slaughtered in their sleep, I didn't find a single building there with a roof. You know how they used to build those old federal government colleges? You have everything, staff quarters, laboratories, and the rest. So many buildings, you know, standing, but not one of them with a roof. Because those boys are extremely destructive. And when they come even against telco masts, they will destroy the telco mast. You see that the telco mast will be useless. So they will mangle everything.
There might not be network.
Yes, you can. There's no way you'll be able to communicate. That's why sometimes Boko Haram attacks the community 24 hours after. People are not even aware. Go to places in Adamawa State. Where Boko Haram they're still very active.
Yes.
In fact, in Madagali area, during the last election took place in only 3 communities, the whole local government. Because to do election in other communities would amount to putting people's lives at risk. And I'm telling you, even today, Guzamala local government in Borno State, people have fled. Boko Haram, whether you are a district head or everybody has fled to Maiduguri. And Boko Haram now has its own people in charge. I'm saying that politicians are looking at me. They are from Guzamala local government, Gudumbali.
As they've chased the residents.
Yeah?
They've chased people living there.
Yes, they dare not go to their hometowns. I'm saying that with all sense of seriousness. The Speaker of the Borno State House of Assembly is from that local government. I say it boldly, that he dares not go to his local government.
So they're permanently in Maiduguri now.
Because those boys are in charge there. So people have fled. Emirs have left their hometowns to go and take refuge in Maiduguri. So this is the situation. And we can't keep things going on like that. No. The war against these guys has to be won. It's not simply to contain them. No. Our goal can't be to contain these guys because we are not even able to contain them. Any enemy that that still manages to occasionally attack communities on the fringes of Maiduguri is a dangerous enemy. And the Shehu of Borno said that clearly to Mr. President.
Yes.
No matter what people tell Mr. President that they've taken over, our soldiers are in control of everywhere, the Shehu of Borno, you can't know his people more than him. You can't know his area of influence more than him. And before Mr. President, he told him we can no longer go to our farms. If we move 5 kilometers out of the state capital, we get killed. Who else should be able to let us know that this is the state of things? So even if we choose not to believe Babajide, who spent Christmas in Borno State looking for information, how about the Shehu of Borno who resides there? So the truth is that we are faced with a big problem that some of us will rather underrate to our own eternal damnation. If we underrate the problem, I'm telling you, maybe because of better funding, today, both factions of Boko Haram, they are very active. While Shekau is killing people in Borno South and some parts of Borno Central, the faction controlled by the young boy, Habib, the son of the man who set up the group. They call it a Banawi faction, but that's the name that he adopted. They like adopting names of their so-called heroes, but his real name is Habib. Habib's faction is running riot in Borno North. So when you hear soldiers killed in Guzamala, soldiers killed in Kukawa, soldiers killed in Baga, it is his own faction that is doing all that damage. It is his faction that went to pick up the Dapchiges, you know, and kill those aid workers. So it's not, we have security problems. No one should underrate the extent of the security problem that we face. And you see the grimness of this problem when banditry begins to move down south from the northwest and north central, moving down south, and you can't freely travel to Ondo State without the fear of being kidnapped and taken into the bush for ransom. So this is the thing. We have to come up with a serious strategy, not simply to sit down and draw up strategies that in the end we will not implement, or that will gather dust in one file somewhere. We are talking about strategies that must work, because the people who work for the president owe Nigerians that obligation to serve them. To serve them in truth, as the Bible says. And indeed, serve them and deliver them from these killers who have turned our country to a hell.
Martin, are you impressed with the response of the federal government to this daunting security challenges across the country?
No one will be impressed until something happens that will continue to make people in internally displaced people's camps to be going home. When you tell them to go home, they say, yes, okay, we can go home now because we know that we will not be attacked. But that's not the situation now. And look at the situation again. He was talking about consequences of what will happen. We may experience food insecurity because they are not able to go to their farms, according to the Shehu of Borno's own confession, that contrary to the technical defeat that they have been celebrating, no, our people have not been able to go to farm. And in so many places within the area, they haven't been able to go to farm. Abuja, if you know the geography of Abuja, so many of the people who are not even in IDP camps, they are around this Abuja Kefi axis. There are so many of them there, they can't go home. And so many of them are staying with relations along Abuja Kefi Road there. If you know the area, everywhere they are there. They may not be in internally displaced people's camps, but they are in various areas. Some relations have rented apartments and estates for them. They are not at home. They can't go home. So nobody will be impressed because we have to, Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who has said several times that he's been worried, should be more worried, and we should not be reading just from the Book of Lamentation over this. There should be new strategy. For instance, the National Security Advisor and Chief of Army Staff are from Borno State, but that has not helped. So this time, there has to be a new strategy, even in his own choice of security chiefs and the intelligence chiefs, to look at the whole country and get the right people who can do the job and deliver us from this crisis that is eating deep into our economy and what have you. Because we need to, we are the largest, we are the most, we are the leader of the black race. The black race looks up to us, and we need to develop critical infrastructure. We need to move within the 21st century standard. We need to develop this country. We need to look beyond it. We need to put this one behind us and face development strategy and face economic development, and not this, because we are the leaders. We are the leaders of the black race.
Do we need help from the international community to help us? Because the way it's going, it's as if the war is lingering, and we are not seeing any end on sight.
We need help. Wherever we can find help, we need help. I was very excited when I saw Chadian troops on Nigerian soil helping us in the Gaboru Gala area, doing mop-up operation with our guys. Honestly, one of the mistakes that the president made when he took over was to underrate Boko Haram. So, and one clear manifestation of his underration of Boko Haram was the fact that he led the mercenaries who did an excellent job just before the election. He let them go. Not only did he let them go, he also let Chadian troops who were on fighting alongside our soldiers. He also let them go back to base, because as a retired soldier, he couldn't understand why we needed foreign help. You know, he famously even said, "How are the mighty falling?" in response to him seeing foreign troops or foreigners coming to fight on Nigerian soil. But America, when it knew that it could not single-handedly defeat Iraq after Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, America got the support of different countries. I remember that even Syria alone contributed about 50,000 troops. So when you can't do it alone, you bring in other people. French, that America hardly agrees with on many issues. French troops came to fight in Iraq. The only thing, the condition was that they would not be put under American command. And they agreed. They agreed. They brought their weaponry and everything, and they were very efficient in southern Iraq and other places where they were deployed. So if you need help, it is clear now that we need help.
We need help.
I've seen Cameroonian troops who have come to fight inside Nigeria in the Bama area. Now, the president is seeing clearly that this is not a war that we can win alone. So all that needs to be done is for this to be intensified. We don't even have the resources to sustain a war of this nature without asking for help. You see, when you buy weapons in military cycles that they call G2G, government to government, it is less expensive. But because of restrictions and all that, you know, even the American restrictions have not been totally removed. You are now, yes, you now have to use vendors, sometimes the second, third vendors to get equipment. It makes the equipment extremely expensive. So we have all kinds of problems. So the president must ask for help and stop thinking that because he was a retired soldier, then a war is easy to fight. War is a lot different now from that time. When it was military head of state, it's a lot different. There's a lot of technology involved, and the enemy has access to technology. The enemy has access to night vision goggles that when they are fighting, night looks like daytime. And they are using it against our forces.
You have access to that?
Yes, they have. Even when they attack our bases, they still the night vision goggles.
Wow.
So this is the thing. Let the president call for help. And people, and true friends of Nigeria should be able to rally around us and help us defeat this enemy.
Still to come, enforcement of presidential order on Apapa gridlock suffer setbacks as trucks litter roads. Stay with us. We'll take this break. We'll be right back after this time out. It's still Journalist Hangout. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from Television Continental. Giving an order and enforcing such most times are beyond what the eyes can see. The lawless situation on the roads leading to Nigeria's main seaport in Apapa, Lagos, despite a presidential order to clear the gridlock, is yet to abate. A 72-hour ultimatum issued by President Muhammadu Buhari to truck owners to vacate the roads expired on Sunday, 26th of May, 2019. But the order is far from being obeyed and no enforcement is being carried out. As articulated trucks litter the road and the Apapa gridlock remains. Is this another wild goose chase? Let us get some updates from our correspondent, Ifunaya Ize.
From the ongoing, it appears the Presidential Task Force is not having an easy task delivering on the executive order directing it to evacuate trucks and trailers from the Lagos seaport environment. Traffic gridlock is persisting days after the presidential order deadline. Port users are skeptical of the task force capability to successfully enforce the directive in the Apapa and Tinkan Island port corridor.
Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. You can see the traffic, and it's going to remain the same. This is not the first time such ultimatum has been given, but the fact remains that those who have been given responsibility to clear the roads, they don't have any stake on the axis, so they wouldn't know how painful and stressful it is to pass through this road.
The root cause of this problem are that these containers you are seeing here are empties, but the shipping companies, the terminals, the APM terminals, the shipping companies have refused to have a holding bay. Holding bays are where empty containers are dropped. So when you find out that most of them have stayed 2 weeks on the road, the shipping companies have conspired with terminal operators. They are smiling to the bank. As you see this container standing here, they pay 12,000 naira per 20-footer per day. 40 footers pay 25,000 naira per day. So what you're seeing here is a kind of cartel.
A member of the Presidential Task Force is confident the gridlock problem will be surmounted.
You cannot just ask all the containers to move into the port, at the same time. So we are trying to work out, to know which trucks goes to the port at which time. You see, it's a question of right truck, right cargo, right time, right location. That is exactly what we are trying to work out. And once we get that right, then the traffic will disappear.
It never used to be like this, Martins. It never, we've never had it so bad in terms of this, the quantum of trucks. Now, when you see it from Tinkan Island, Apapa, and all the way to Western Avenue, you have trucks packed. Surulere, Ojuelegba, sometimes it spills to Jibo, or, so Ikorodu Road. They said that there are, from a study, 12,337 trucks and whatever like that, apart from 5,000 articulated ones along the road here and there. And, it's unfortunate. But, there have been so many reports like this by TVC and even channel television all the time. But the fundamental and the, issue there that should be addressed is look at the road. There is a presidential order
There is a task force. It's not the first time. There was a time the vice president himself went there and gave an order. They set up the same task force. It won't work because there are only 2 ports in Lagos for the whole country of this nature. So I am not too sure that the authorities in Abuja are aware of the enormousness, not the enormity, as we always say, the magnitude of the problem. Because this is the time now, when they get the president to visit Lagos, they should take the president there so that they can take drastic measures. No.
On foot.
Yes, on foot. On foot.
They never do that.
They don't do it.
They don't do
so
that.
I am not, what doesn't get measured doesn't get attention. What is measurable? Let the leader of this country, not the leaders, the leader, let him be aware, let him see for himself and take a decision. If it is necessary to declare a state of emergency, because it's shameful that people are complaining about this thing. Look at the road. Look at the state of this Apapa and Tinkan. For the whole country, Niger Delta, they have been talking about those ones in Warri, in Port Harcourt, in Calabar, in Uyo, and other areas that they are not deep sea ports. What happens to dredging? There used to be a West African dredging company here that we used to know. Why is it that in the 20 years of democracy that they have not developed all these other seaports? Look at the road. Sometimes when you want to get to Orehe, you can spend 6 hours because of trucks leaving Apapa for Niger Delta area. We depend on only Lagos, and it's a serious issue that we underrate. It's a national security issue.
On the infrastructure,
it's a
on the
very
roads.
big economic beat that we are playing with the Dangote to be constructing something, and no progress has been made. When you give a presidential order, where do you want them to go? The terminals have been concessioned to some foreign companies, and when they give you some days to clear your goods, after 3 days or 2 days they give you, if you don't, you start incurring demurrage, and you start paying. So these are some of the reasons we even have inflation and other things. I think that instead of lamenting, the federal government should cooperate with Lagos State government, because this thing is in Lagos. As the governor of Lagos State now has taken some measure, signed the presidential order. You know,
I think it was in that
43 years ago, General Murtala Mohammed, while pronouncing Abuja as the nation's capital on 3rd February 1976, specifically mentioned Apapa ports in his own broadcast to the nation. When he was declaring that Lagos was going to be the economic capital of the Federation, and he said in the broadcast that I always quote from, that Lagos would be worked into the 1979 Constitution as the commercial capital of Nigeria, while developing Kaduna and Port Harcourt as special areas. He specifically mentioned Apapa Port, that federal government will continue to pay attention to it because Lagos will be the economic capital of the Federation. So it's a serious national project that they have been playing with. It deserves an emergency, robust investment in that place, because it deserves that robust investment so that we can clear that mess there. It is supposed to be.
Okay, let me take Babajide now.
It's not supposed to be an Apapa kind of thing. It has become a village. It should be a port city.
Thank you. Now, Babajide, why is it becoming difficult, or why to change that route? As in, why must it be Apapa, Tinkan Island, that the whole nation? If all petroleum, imported petroleum products to the country now, everything will be battered in that same, and 98% of what you consume comes in through just one port. Yeah. And Lagos will be at the receiving end.
60% of Nigerian cargo comes through that port. 70% of customs revenue, is from there. So you can imagine how important, how strategic the Apapa ports to our country.
As customs
Now,
are making their money now.
There are more than 200 tank farms in that area, more than 200 tank farms. And because we have de-emphasized transport of petroleum products through rail, and we have also discouraged the use of pipelines. Everyone has resorted to what is called bridging. Bridging is the idea of tankers coming all the way from Abuja, from Sokoto. All of them have to come to Lagos to lift petrol. So they are on that queue sometimes for weeks, waiting for their turn. Apapa does not have enough access roads. The port, there are not enough access roads to a port that large. So that is a problem on itself. Then look at the state of the road itself. The gullies on that road that can nearly swallow a human being. So given the state of the road, breakdowns are common. Breakdowns of tankers are common, which worsens traffic gridlock. So we have all kinds of problems. I said some time ago that if I had the opportunity, I would revoke the certificate of occupancy of all tank farms in that area and have them relocated. I said it. But of course, before a government would think of that, they would think of the penal fee that they will pay, to all those, I say penal fee, compensation that they will pay to all those tank farm owners. But we can't solve the problem without taking extreme measures. That's one of the extreme measures that I felt. I also believe that all those ports, on airport, the ones in Warri, we should be able to divert. Yes. We should be able to divert tankers, of course, after dredging those ports, so that they can take in heavy cargo. We should be able to divert petroleum products, divert tankers to those areas, so that the one in Warri can handle the petroleum needs of people in the south-south, and the southeast. That way, we'll be able to de-emphasize this huge number of tankers, all of them coming to Lagos to pick petroleum products. And then the nature of our ports, the inefficiency of our port system, also encourages this idea of tankers being on the road for so long. And if you ask many businessmen are preferring to even go and divert their cargo to Benin Republic because of the inefficiency of our port system. You wait and wait on queue while you continue to incur demurrage. So this is the situation. There are all kinds of problems, and all the stakeholders must come together. Not one problem. You can't solve that problem with just one idea. Everyone must come together and say, how do we solve the problem of the road? How do we ensure that these tankers are moved to a permanent place that they will be happy with? If you move them, would they easily be able to access the port area?
That's the most important.
Yeah, because if they can't easily access the port area, they will not go. And then what of the corrupt security men that we put there, collecting money every day? Navy, soldiers, army, they are collecting money from those truck drivers. They work with thugs. They are collecting money every day. In fact, someone was estimating that they make millions and millions of naira every day.
There's a big
from those
cartel
guys.
there.
Yes, they continue to collect money from those guys. Instead of kicking them away, they continue to collect money from them, and those guys will remain on the road. Every road, every space that people can find, they will park trucks there. So if you have a house in Apapa, you may not even be able to access your house.
Even landlords are putting their houses for sale.
Yes,
most houses in
businesses are dying.
Yes.
Businesses are dying.
Because you can't access the
because
place.
of these things. And we think it's such a small problem.
I was saying that, ordinarily.
We have to go. We are out of time.
Yeah, definitely. Ordinarily.
We'll be right back after this time out. Please,
yes.
Don't go away. Our sports editor, Promise Efoge, is joining us for this segment. Who will be crowned the champions of Europe? The world is awaiting with bated breath as two English rivals, Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur, battle for the 2019 UEFA Champions League trophy at the 67,000 capacity Estadio Wanda Metropolitano in Madrid, Spain. Both teams brace the odds to reach the stage of the competition. Liverpool, runner-up last season, have won the competition 5 times, while Tottenham Hotspur will play in their first Champions League final. So we are in for a captivating final on Saturday. It will also be a proud day for Africa, as some African stars take a center stage. Liverpool will be banking on the trails of Egyptian Mohamed Salah, Senegal's Sadio Mane, and Cameroon's Joel Matip to win the 6th title, while the likes of Sergio Herrera of the Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya's Victor Wanyama, and Dele Alli, who are with Nigerian roots, will play a vital role to give Spurs their first taste of Champions League glory. Promise, this is not my terrain, no, but then...
Very clear.
Stakes. Number one, we have 2 English teams. What does that say of the English football? For a long time, a lot of people will tell you that, look, it's the Spanish La Liga and Italian Serie A, that they are way better than the English league. True. Now, what is happening now?
I mean, we saw something similar with the Europa League final, who had Arsenal and Chelsea, an all-English final, the Champions League, an all-English final. I think it's just an English year. I mean, you look at the performances of English teams in Europe in recent times. I mean, it's not in tandem with the hype that goes with the Premier League. Yeah, the Premier League, yes, is the most watched league, a lot of razzmatazz around it, a lot of money, I mean, associated with the league and what have you. But in terms of quality, in terms of glory, trophies on the European scene, you find the Spanish teams really doing much more than the English teams. But of course, there is time for everything. This is a time for the English teams to shine, and they are shining like million stars.
Now, let's talk about Babajide, Tottenham, Liverpool now. Looking at them, this will be the first time Tottenham Hotspur would just get to this stage. Liverpool is like an old horse in this in this particular turf.
Yeah, Liverpool, they won the trophy 5 times, and they have the experience. The coach too has the experience. He's been in the final before, at least twice. He was in the final last year. He was in the final with Dortmund when he was still working in Germany. So he has experience. Liverpool as a team has experience and it has tradition. They are among the 5 clubs that you can say have won the trophy repeatedly. So they've won it the same time as Barcelona. So they are a great European club, and European nights are not new to Liverpool, and that's why I felt that, well, this may well be Liverpool's year, because any team that gets to beat Barcelona silly, the way Liverpool did in the semi-final, when a lot of people had written them off, that kind of team, you expect that on the finals, on the day of the final, that they will be able to give their best. Klopp has built an excellent team in the shape of Liverpool. They are good in every department. The fullbacks are amongst the most mobile in Europe at this time. Robertson on the left, and what's his name again? The guy with 3 names. the young. I'm talking about the right fullback, the young fullback. You know, so. And then in midfield, he has tremendous talent. Henderson, the captain, he gives his all. He may not be very skillful, but he's very hardworking. He works for the team, you know. So, and then you have the person who perhaps is closest to Messi in terms of his style of play. That's Mohamed Salah, the Egyptian, of course, with Sadio Mane, you know, with him, and then the the Brazilian Firmino. So I'm expecting Liverpool to clinch this trophy. Tottenham have done so well to get to this stage, but in my view, Liverpool have got everything it takes.
Yeah, let me cut in and just buttress what Abjidi has said.
Alexander Arnold.
Arnold, exactly. Experience counts at this stage of the competition. Experience counts in the Champions League. But this season, if experience is anything to write home about, Tottenham wouldn't be in the final. If experience is anything to write home about this season's Champions League, then maybe would have been seen the likes of Real Madrid or Atletico or perhaps Barcelona in the final. We saw how Tottenham took out Ajax in the semi-final. It wasn't about their performance. It was about the fact that they had luck 100%, coming down from 3 goals down to equalize and progress.
It's not every day that Mo Salah comes to the party, and if tomorrow is one of those days...
Even if Mo Salah doesn't play tomorrow's final, Mo Salah did not play in the semi-final.
And
Liverpool and eliminated Barcelona. With Divock, you know, Sturridge came into the party. You know, Liverpool has got a very large squad. Prior to this season, Jurgen Klopp went to the market. He bought quality players, maybe players that are not, well known worldwide. But in terms of performance, they've shown that when they give it the chances, they can take the bull by the horn.
Jide, you said it sometime when we were reviewing this Champions League, that we've gone past the era that your players can graduate from your feeder team, and when they graduate and to form your team, and as in your team can do exploits, as in the way we used to see Arsenal in those days and everything. But right now, I think it's about the amount you have, the war chests. When you see clubs like Man City, when you see the exploit they're making, when you see what PSG they've been able to do in a very short time, where does the money come into this?
Money is almost everything now in the game, and the huge revenue, TV revenue, is really making clubs comfortable. Small clubs are no longer keen to sell their players. In the past, by throwing 10 million at those small English clubs, they will be ready to part with their players. But these days, you should be ready to bring 60 million or 70 million. Otherwise, they will not want to sell, because the money, the revenue from TV right, is so huge. It has made clubs so comfortable. Go and look at what clubs earned for playing the Premier League last season. Even the club that got relegated got chunks of money. So at the end of the day, there is no eagerness or hunger to sell their best players. And you see English clubs now are going to Portugal, going to other places and bringing in quality talents. If it continues like this, you will see that English clubs will continue to dominate Europe, because they are dominating Europe. They are doing well now because they are buying big. Look at what Man City has done. Look at what Liverpool has done. Yes, Klopp has been able to blood some young players like Alexander Arnold. He came, in fact, a few years back, he was a ball boy at Liverpool. He's been able to bring him into the team, and a few young players too, like Joe Gomez. But the truth is, he has also spent heavily on defenders like Van Dijk. He paid a world record fee for Van Dijk. And he also, at that time, paid a world record fee for the goalkeeper, Alisson, before Chelsea now bought Kepa. And Kepa is currently the most expensive goalkeeper in the world. So he has brought in a lot of players that cost a lot of money. Even the boy, the African boy from, I think, the Russian league, Jibril too cost in the region of 50 million. You know? So money is the name of the game.
That's true.
You cannot do what Sir Alex Ferguson did in 1992 when he brought in the players, the Man U players that won the youth league. and made his team, made this team the nucleus of those players. You can no longer do that. If you try that now, the other teams will beat you.
Promise, tell us what makes this team, Tottenham Hotspur, how did they get to the final? Because
I just told you they scrolled through Ajax by luck. They lost at home at in London to Ajax.
I think they even lost their first 2 games or so.
In the group stage.
In the group stage.
You know, they were not favourites to go past Ajax, but they did. Thanks to
hard-working Ajax.
Thanks to Lucas Moura. He was the angel on the night for Tottenham. And I remember the commentator almost lost his voice when Moura scored the 3rd goal. Going into tomorrow's game, trust me, Liverpool are favourites. Going by the records, they've played like 172 times. Liverpool has won 82 times of those occasions. In the last 6 games between Tottenham and Liverpool, Liverpool has won 4. The last time they played, Liverpool won. The last time Tottenham beat Liverpool was about 3-4 years ago in the Premier League. So the records favour Liverpool. Going into this game, Liverpool fans should be jubilating. But trust me,
anything can happen in football.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jurgen Klopp has been the nearly coach. You know, he gets, to the zenith and fails to nick it. But we hope that the tide will change for him tomorrow.
Babajide, African players.
Yes, African players are Naby Keita. That's the player that I wanted to mention, that he bought for about 50-something million. You know, African players, yes, African players are doing very well currently, and you fancy people like Sadio Mane to rise to the occasion tonight, because he combines pace with power and athleticism. You know, so he has everything. He goes into the area. He can get you the crucial goal when it matters the most. And then look at if there's any player now who could become world best, it's actually Mo Salah, because he has shown that he can really be.
I sometimes think Sadio Mane is even the most important player for Liverpool. He does all the dirty jobs. He does all the supplies for Mo Salah. Mo Salah does the scoring. Sadio Mane does the job.
He's more clinical. Salah is more clinical.
My sport editor will be coming into the party for tomorrow's game, and so that makes Liverpool even more dangerous. You know.
Well, it depends. I also hear that this former Arsenal player may get his chance.
Okay, by tomorrow
the one who was injured before
Chamberlain.
Yes.
Oxlade.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I learned he could get a chance.
Maybe
just a few minutes just to give him a chance.
Maybe if there are 2-3 goals up.
Because he lost his...
We have to go. Promise, I want to thank you. Promise Foge is sports editor, and Babajide Kolade Otinoju. Thank you. Tomorrow we are going to... who do you favor? Liverpool?
I give the match to Liverpool. Yes, my last prediction for Arsenal was a disaster, but I'm hoping that Liverpool will do me proud.
Promise.
Well, everyone says Liverpool, but I'm worried for those in Madrid. Madrid is expensive right now. I mean, the least hotel is over £1,000.
£1,000?
Over £1,000.
Make their money is the opportunity. Make their money.
And that's our offering this week on Journalist Hangout. Join us next week for another episode of the program, and also watch Journalist Hangouts on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now and enjoy your weekend.